to start seated. So go ahead and come to your yoga mat if you're not there already. I'm going to be sitting up on a bolster here. If you have some blankets or your blocks or something else to sit up on, that would be great. Just getting your hips a little bit higher, especially if when you sit cross-legged, if your knees kind of come up a lot and you don't feel very comfortable. Sitting up on something could help. You could kind of stagger your legs here or cross them, just finding a comfortable place here. You can let your hands just rest in your lap or find Yana Mudra by joining the pointer finger and the thumb together, just resting your hands down on your knees or wherever they comfortably reach. And maybe closing your eyes here if you'd like to. Taking a few moments to arrive and notice what you notice. Starting with your physical body, just kind of scanning your awareness in no particular order, just checking in with yourself physically. And then reflecting on the type of day you've had so far, scanning through your emotional body, your emotions, your feelings, anything present right now? And then getting to our energetic body, how is your energy in this moment today? And with all of this input you've gathered now, if you'd like to use that information to inform your intention or dedication for today's practice, go ahead and bring something or someone to mind now. Maybe something you'd like to grow or cultivate or focus on in your life. Could be a quality or a short phrase, or maybe it's a person in your life or group of people in your life that you just like to send a little extra love to. Start to feel the flow of your breath. Start to deepen your breath, drawing the air down to the lowest parts of your lungs for some diaphragmatic breathing, letting your belly expand, ribcage widen with your inhales, and everything softening with your exhales. Take a few breaths like that. Breathing in with a sense of expansion, and breathing out. And then let's take 3 clearing breaths together. So inhaling through your nose, filling all the way up and pausing just for a moment or two at the top. Then open mouth exhale with a sigh or blowing air out of your mouth. We'll do that 2 more times. Just go at your own pace now. In through your nose. Little pause at the top. Then either sighing or blowing to release. And then letting your chin slowly come down toward your chest. You can relax your hands, releasing that mudra. And as your chin continues to kind of sink toward your chest, letting your shoulders kind of sink in the opposite direction, down your back. feeling into the back of your neck here for a moment, and then when you're ready, rotating or letting your right ear come toward your right shoulder. As you arrive there, just spending a moment, letting that left shoulder kind of melt down and away so you can feel those muscles on the side of your neck, the scalenes. And then dipping your chin back down toward the center of your chest before letting your left ear come toward your left shoulder. Pausing there as you once again find any sensation there through the right side of your neck, those scalenes, and letting that right shoulder melt down. And then at your own pace, just rocking back and forth a few times like that, dipping down through center before switching sides. Just go slow enough that you're really present to sensations along the way. Not just getting to the destination here. The journey is just as much part of it. Loosening everything up here. Letting your chin come back down toward the center of your chest. With an inhale, start to look up toward the sky. We're just going to move the neck here, so we're looking up. If you want, you can kind of poke your chin out a little bit at the top so you feel a nice stretch through the throat and through the jaw. Then with your exhale, let your chin come back down toward the center of your chest. Just follow your breath like that a few times, inhaling to lift up. Using your whole exhale to make your way back down. Go ahead and do that about one more time, inhaling as you lift. Exhaling as you lower. Making your way back to neutral here. Okay, if you're sitting up on something, you might consider coming off of that for now. It's up to you. We're going to let the legs come out to kind of a V shape here. Just gonna see how this feels first and foremost. Sometimes it's nice to kind of press your way up and kind of lean forward a little bit and then set yourself back down. That can kind of help you sit up nice and tall. Let's bend that right knee and bring your right foot in to the left thigh or wherever you can comfortably reach. We're going to take a little twist toward the left here, or to the right here. So bringing your right hand behind you, your left hand to your right knee. First, sitting up nice and tall first. And then with an exhale, twisting toward the right side, gazing over that right shoulder. With your inhale, unwind just a little bit here so you can take a nice full breath in. And then exhale as you twist toward the right. One more just like that, following your own breath here. Inhale as you unwind a little, and exhaling as you twist once more. Holding your twist while you're there for one breath. And come on back to center. We'll bring the heart center to the left leg here. We're kind of twisting toward that left leg. We're going to find a couple rounds of folding over your left leg. If you have a strap, you could strap that left foot and just kind of pull yourself a little closer. That's one option. Or you can kind of give that leg a massage, just kind of sliding your hands down until they get to a comfortable stopping point and then coming back up. So we'll just do this with breath a few times. We're going to exhale as we fold toward that left foot. And inhale as you come back up. Go ahead and do that about 3 or 4 times. And then if it feels right to you, you can kind of hold in your fold. Another option would be to bend your left knee a bit more, maybe so much that you could grab your foot if you like. It's up to you. We're working towards reaching the heart toward the knee more so than your head. So you don't have to get your head down low. It's more about hinging at the hips here, getting that heart toward your thigh. And try not to push it too far. One more big breath in here, feeling expansion through the back. Last breath out. slowly rising back up. I'm going to turn to the side for this next one here. So the legs are going to stay the same. We're going to bring that right hand back behind us again. And then we're going to roll forward on that right shin and lift your hips up, lift your left hand high. Just kind of experiment with how far feels good for you. We're just finding length through that left side, pressing through the hips. Nice hip opener here too. Don't worry if your arm is kind of shaky. It's okay to wobble. Just one more breath in. And then breath out, slowly making your way back down. Okay, we'll switch sides. So straightening that right leg, maybe shaking it out for a moment at the center. And then when you're ready, bend your left knee and bring your left foot to your right thigh. We'll take a twist to the left this time. So right hand to the left knee, left hand helping you sit up nice and tall there. Think about lengthening first as you take a breath in. And exhale as you twist toward the left, gazing past that left shoulder. With your inhales, unwinding just enough for a full breath in. And exhaling as you twist to the left. One more like that. And then holding your twist for one last breath. Take your time coming back to center. Our hearts will be directed toward that the right leg. I'm having trouble with my lefts and rights today. Toward that right leg. And we'll do our forward folding with breath. So if you wanted to strap that foot back up or bend your knee, you do you. You can experiment as we go. We're taking a breath in at the top. And then exhale as you fold toward that right foot. Inhale, rising back up. You get the idea here. We're exhaling as we fold and reach. One more time, we're inhaling as we come back up. And then exhale, let's fold and then stay folded. You can just kind of tuck your hands underneath your shin or grab your foot if that's convenient and easy for you to do. And again, we're working at hinging at the hips and bringing the heart toward the knee or the thigh, not so much your head. So we don't want to round here. We want to keep a kind of tall spine. Don't push too far. You want to be nice and kind here. One more breath in. One more breath out. Start to rise back up. We're going to find our little back bend here. So if it went well for you on the first side, we have another chance to try this. If it didn't go so well, that's okay. Maybe you just keep your leg or your seat on the floor and reach back. So left hand comes behind you, shift forward onto your left thigh, start to send the hips up and reach that right hand up and overhead, finding lots of length through your right side. Breathing here. One more breath in. And then exhale, come back down. All right, let's straighten the legs out, give them a little wiggle or a little tap here. And then we're moving along to hands and knees. So if you like to grab something for underneath your knees, a little extra cushion, go ahead and grab that now. Just an option. So tabletop, we'll have the fingertips spread out a little bit, hands right below the shoulders, knees right below your hips. With your inhale, start to lift the tailbone, lower your belly, and eventually lift your gaze, finding your cow pose today. And then exhale, start tucking your tailbone first, lifting up through your back, and then rounding, tucking your chin toward your chest, cat pose. Inhale, cow, leading with the tailbone, the pelvis, lowering your belly, cow pose. And exhale to cat. Keep going now a few more times at your own pace. Inhaling as you gaze up. Exhaling as you find And a good way to remember which part of the breath goes where is just imagining that when you're rounding up into cat pose, you're kind of squeezing the air out of the lungs. When you've had enough of your cat and cow today, let's find our way to extended child's pose, bringing your knees out wide toward the edges of your mat, big toes touching behind you, maybe sinking your seat toward your heels a bit. Unless that's uncomfortable on your knees, you could always stay lifted a bit more and maybe come up to your forearms or reach the arms forward from there. Either way, we're just finding a comfortable way to sink in to your extended child's pose, making sure that your knees are kind of wide enough so you have plenty of space for your belly. A couple belly breaths here. Breathing in, expansion through the belly. Breathing out, just letting go a bit more. Just about one more breath here. As you're ready, start to rise back up to your tabletop. If you have blocks and you like to use them, we're going to head to our first downward facing dog. I love to use blocks on at least the first round, just so you can warm up a bit more. But blocks or not, we'll still have the hands up toward the top of your mat, fingertips spread out, and then really engage through your hands here, gripping through the fingertips and the knuckles, curling your toes under. Start to reach the tailbone high. Press your hands down into the blocks or the floor. Reach through your shoulders. Find your breath. You might pedal your legs out while you're here, bending and straightening opposite knees a couple of times. One more breath. Then start to bend your knees nice and deep as you look toward your hands, and step or walk your way to the top of your mat for ragdoll forward fold. Have at least a micro bend of your knees as you let your upper body hang kind of loose. Finding some space and length through your spine. You might find a little bit of a sway motion here. Maybe you nod your head yes, shake your head no. You could experiment with bending your knees extra deep if you want to get more of a low back stretch, which can be really nice. If you're experiencing any low back tightness or sometimes sciatica, since the sciatic nerve starts at the low back, sometimes stretching that part out can be nice for that. And one more breath in. One more breath out. If you have your blocks here, we're going to stack the blocks on top of each other. If you don't have blocks, if you have something else, maybe a chair close by, that would be great. We'll toe heel the feet out nice and wide. Not as wide as you can go, but probably off of your mat for sure. We're going to bring the left hand to your stack of blocks there at the middle of your mat. And then like you're drawing a bow, slide your right hand across your left arm, across your collarbones, and then reach your right arm high. So we're in an upward facing twist. Breathing here, you might rotate out your right wrist a couple of times, wiggling your fingers. Noticing the inner left thigh. Maybe you're getting a nice stretching sensation there as well. And at some point, taking a couple of arm circles, shoulder circles in both directions, maybe about 3 times both ways. And when you're ready to switch, go ahead and lower that right hand down to your stack of blocks. And then pull that left hand across your right arm, across your collarbones, and then your version of all the way open. And again, if you want to move your wrist a little bit, left wrist can have lots of space here to circle out, fingers moving, just getting some blood flow in there. And at some point, taking a couple shoulder circles, moving that left arm around both directions a couple times. And when you've had enough there, bring that right hand down to your stack of blocks. Toe heel your feet back in toward the center of your mat. And then bend your knees a bit more. Then tuck your chin toward your chest and then walk your hands up your legs as you slowly rise up to stand. As you get to the top right away, we're going to have a nice shake, nice bounce out of the body here. So just kind of starting to move the arms. You might lift and lower your heels a couple of times, finding that kind of deep bounce through the muscles and tissues of your body. It's kind of just a freestyle here. So just any kind of shaking movements. I want to come out. Whew. Shake one leg and then the other, or maybe jump a couple of times. Getting the circulation flowing as we're standing for the first time in this class. Okay, you've had enough of a shake. Come on up toward the top of your mat. Take a look at your feet. Make sure they're a comfortable and supportive distance from each other, maybe about hip width distance apart, or maybe a little closer together. It's always your choice. Spin your palms to face the front of your space, feeling some opening through your chest and the shoulder blades coming together slightly behind you. Knitting your rib cage together by engaging your core so we're not coming into a back bend. Option to close your eyes here for a couple of breaths as you notice your alignment and your sensations from an internal perspective, interoception. Notice if there are any little adjustments you could make to make yourself feel stronger, steadier, sweeter. Go ahead and blink your eyes open if you'd like. With an inhale, let's rise up to the tippy toes. So we're lifting those heels up, coming up nice and tall. And then exhale as you slowly lower back down. Just do your best here. Do that a couple more times. Inhale as you rise up. Exhale as you lower down. We'll do this about 3 more times. Option to add on a lift of the arms. So as you rise up to your tippy toes, maybe your arms lift up and overhead. And exhale, bringing your arms down and your heels back down. Keep following your own pace here. 2 more times. On your last round, let's stay lifted at the top. Staying lifted for your exhale. One last breath in. And then exhale, come on back down. If you want, you can shake the legs out a little bit more. And we'll get into today's flow. So make sure your feet again are at a comfortable distance after that little shake out. Arms down by your sides to start. With an inhale, start to reach your arms around and up, joining your palms overhead. Option to look up toward your palms as they join. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Arms reaching wide. We're hinging at the hips here first with a nice tall spine. And then eventually releasing those hands toward the floor. Inhale, slide your hands up your legs, halfway lift. Exhale, lower your hands down to the blocks or the floor. We'll step just the right foot back and then lower your right knee down to the mat right away. With an inhale, let's rise up, bringing hands overhead. We'll be here for a couple of breaths, so just start to notice the tilt of your pelvis. The Let's tuck the tailbone under a little bit so we're in more of a neutral stance here. You might start to feel that right hip getting a little opening sensation. If you're feeling really wobbly here, you might toe heel your left foot out a bit wider so you have a wider base. Let's have one more breath in. Exhale, open arm twist toward the left. So the right hand reaches forward, the left hand reaches back. You might gaze back toward your left hand as long as you still feel stable. With your inhale, unwind, come back to center. Exhale, open arm twist toward the right. So now the left hand reaches forward, right hand back. Option to look back toward your right hand if you'd like. Keep breathing. With your inhale, come back to center, unwind. Exhale, lower hands back down to the floor or block. Step your left knee back to meet your right and lower your chest all the way down to the floor. Untuck your toes, press the tops of your feet down into the mat so much that your knees kind of start popping up off of the floor. With your inhale, we're finding baby cobra. So we're lifting through the head and heart, shoulder blades coming around and down, and using the strength of the spine, the muscles around the spine and back. And then exhale, lower everything back down. Let's do that 2 more times. We're inhaling as we rise up, baby cobra. You might hover your hands up off of the floor if you want to make sure you're using your core strength. And then exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, baby cobra. Stay lifted here for your exhale. One more inhale. And exhale, find your way up through tabletop and back to child's pose. Taking a few breaths here as you feel your low back opening up, sending your breath down, all the way down to the sacrum, the very lowest part of the spine that connects to your pelvis. One more breath in. One more breath out. With your inhale, rising up to tabletop. If you like to use your blocks, you can bring those back into place here. And with an exhale, find your way to downward dog. We'll have 3 breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. With your inhale, either staying here or lifting that right leg up for 3-legged down dog. Exhale, step that right foot forward, hugging your knee in toward your chest, and then just doing your best to get that right foot up toward the top of your mat. You can always kind of give it some help or kind of toe heel your way on up. With an inhale, we're coming up to our high lunge, crescent lunge, arms lifting high. Exhale, hands to heart. One more big breath in and out. Breathe like normal as you take one big step up toward the top of your mat. So you're all the way at the top. Inhale, reach arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Samastitihi, equal standing pose. Touching your thumbs to the sternum, that center part of your chest, heart center, Anahata chakra. Feeling your heartbeat. Maybe closing your eyes here as you feel your blood pumping through your body, all the signs of life you can detect. Calling to mind your intention or dedication if you had one today. Let's take a clearing breath now before switching sides. We're inhaling through the nose. Big sigh to release. Inhale, hands go high, gaze might follow. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, sliding your hands up to your thighs. Exhale, hands come down to the blocks. This time we're stepping just the left foot back and then lowering the left knee down to the floor. Your call if you keep your left toes tucked under or if you flatten the top of your left foot to the floor. Either way is just fine. With an inhale, let's lift those arms up and overhead. Spending a couple of moments noticing the tilt of the pelvis again, making sure it's kind of a neutral or slightly tucked under even, so you can feel a little stretch, a little opening through that left hip flexor area. If this is feeling too wobbly, go ahead and toe heel your right foot out toward the right side of your mat so you have a little bit more stability there. Let's take a breath in. Exhale, open arm twist toward the right. Left arm reaches forward, right hand reaches back. Option to look back toward your right hand if you'd like. Breathing. With an inhale, unwind, lifting hands overhead. Exhale, open arm twist toward the left. Breathing here, maybe looking toward the left hand. With an inhale, come back to center, unwind. Exhale, lower those hands back down to the floor or blocks. We'll step that right knee back to meet your left, moving those blocks out of the way. And go ahead and lower your chest all the way down to the floor. Taking a few breaths here as you set yourself up for a couple more rounds of baby cobra. Let's think about lifting the shoulders up toward the ears and then sliding them back and down, almost like you're kind of tucking them in your back pocket. And your shoulder blades are kind of together here. So press the tops of your feet down again so much that your thighs are working, your glutes are working, your knees are slightly lifted. 3 rounds of baby cobra. We're inhaling as we rise. Option to hover the hands up off of the floor or even reach them forward. And then exhale, lower down. Freestyle in here. 2 more rounds. We're inhaling to lift. Your choice what you're doing with your hands and arms. Exhaling to lower. One last time, we're inhaling as we rise, and we'll stay lifted here for the exhale. One more breath in. See if you can use that entire exhale to press your way up through tabletop and back to child's pose. Your favorite variation of child's pose. Knees could be a little closer together, or you could send your knees out wide. You could tent your fingertips up, reaching through your shoulders for a nice upper back and shoulder stretch. You could wrap your arms back and around so your hands end up near your ankles and your hairline, or kind of top of the forehead, coming down to the floor, only if that feels good. No need to squish too much if that doesn't feel good to you. Sending 2 more breaths all the way down to the sacrum, that very lowest part of the back, spine. With an inhale, start to rise back up to tabletop, grabbing your blocks if you like to use them, and then using an exhale to find our last downward facing dog of this practice. 3 breaths when you get there. We're inhaling, press your hands into the floor, reach through your shoulders. And exhale. Inhale, reach high. And exhale. One last breath in. Last breath out. Option to stay right here or use an inhale to come to 3-legged down dog with your left toes lifting up behind you. Exhale, step your left foot forward, hugging your left knee toward your chest first, and stepping up. You can always give it a little help. With your inhale, start to lift your arms up, coming to our high lunge, bending into that left knee. Big breath in. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. One more breath in. and out. We're kind of springing off of the left or the right toes here. Just step your way up to the top of the mat, hands at heart center. Take a few breaths here, cultivating this sense of centeredness, watching as your body naturally wants to find homeostasis or balance between the effort and ease that you're experiencing. Calling to mind your intention again if you set one. Let's take a clearing breath. We'll inhale through the nose. And sigh to release. Go ahead and blink your eyes open if they were closed. Let your hands come down by your sides. Give it a little shake. We'll do a little bit of balancing here next. So if you know you like to use a chair or have a wall close by, highly recommend having all the support you need or want. Today our balancing series will just be coming from one-legged mountain pose to airplane pose, just so you know where we're headed. So first, we're gonna send all the weight over. Let's do the right foot first. So all the weight on the right leg. Start to find one-legged mountain pose with your left knee lifting. Your toes can stay down on the floor here for extra support. Maybe lifting your toes up off of the floor periodically to test your balance. If that's feeling stable and you want more of a challenge, you can lift that left knee up to about hip height. Take a breath in. With your exhale, slowly find your way to airplane pose. We're sending that left leg back. It could be sliding across the floor, so your toes end up behind you on the floor, or you might lift the left toes up as you lean forward. Really nice to have a chair or a couch or something to hold on to in front of you if you'd like. We're reaching those arms back behind us otherwise with the shoulder blades hugging together. And at your own pace, see if you can rise back up to one-legged mountain pose, lifting that left knee. You can step down if you want to take a break. We'll do that about 2 more times on that with that left leg. So just freestyle here, go at your own pace. That left knee, finding one-legged mountain pose. And with an exhale, at some point, exploring airplane. You can stay for a couple of breaths or right away, rise back up. Bringing your left knee up. And eventually, we'll exhale and set that left knee or that left foot down. Take your time, take your time. Shake out that right leg. And then we're switching sides. So all the weight shifting toward that left foot. Right leg finding one-legged mountain pose here. Toes can be down or lifted up high. Your choice. When you're ready, find an exhale to airplane pose. So maybe sliding your toes down across the mat, hugging your shoulder blades together. That is perfectly fine and really good for our hip flexors either way. You know your options. Go ahead and come back and forth a few times. Whenever you're feeling like you've had enough, we're just gonna meet standing, giving it a little shake out. Whenever you're ready, shaking it out. All right, we are headed back down to the floor. Let's go ahead and make your way there. We're gonna go right to the back. You can hug your knees in with you as you go, or hug them in once you arrive on the floor. Grabbing hold of your knees or shins, and then taking a little bit of free movement here as you roll some weight across your low back and the sacrum. You can keep your knees hugged in tight or straighten your arms, letting your knees go a little farther away from you. You can make some circles or just kind of rocking side to side. This one's not so much about form or a pose, it's more about really tapping into that pressure, that massaging pressure. You can kind of move around there. This one is also really good for any kind of low back tightness, the wellness of your sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve is actually the largest nerve in the body. It's almost the width of a finger. Kind of cool. But with that size, sometimes we can have some trouble, PMS syndrome or sciatica. It's quite common. So continuing to move and stretch a little bit here and there is really good. Okay, let's bring those feet down to the floor. Arms will come out wide for some support here. Let's press that left foot down into the mat as we start to lift and straighten or almost straighten that right leg up toward the sky. You can hold on to that right thigh if you'd like, or keep your hands there on the floor. Rotate out your right ankle a couple times both ways. Wiggle your toes, spread the toes out. Just kind of getting as much motion there as you can. And then bend your right knee, find figure 4. So right ankle just behind your left knee, figure 4. Some people might feel really good staying right here. But if you want some fine tuning, you might press your right hand into your right knee or thigh, getting a little more opening there. You can find just a little bit of movement if you like movement, maybe a bit of a sway. Or you can enjoy stillness. If this isn't quite enough sensation for you, you might reach to interlace your fingers behind that left thigh, just as long as your shoulders and your head can still comfortably rest on the floor. One of my friends had what they thought was sciatica, but really was like piriformis syndrome, which they kind of can be quite related. And his physical therapist gave him this exercise, and he said as long as he does this every day before he starts working, and then after he's done working for the day and sitting, it doesn't hurt anymore. So I don't know, definitely talk to your own physical therapist or doctors if you're experiencing any of that. If you're not, this could be a good one just to keep things healthy. One more breath in. And then breath out. If your left foot was lifted, go ahead and lower it back down. Keep your legs here in figure 4. We'll find a bit of a twist. So legs staying the same, arms could come out wide. Go ahead and let your knees start to lower toward one side first, either side. Just letting the knees start twisting and lowering. And then switching sides, you can just kind of rock back and forth a couple of times. Letting the figure 4 legs go to the other side. If you want to get a little fancy with it, you could turn your gaze in the opposite direction that your legs are lowering. So when the legs are going to the left, gaze could turn to the right. And vice versa. Or you could just keep gazing straight up. You can always do a little of both, find out what you like. And then coming back to neutral. Let's press that left foot down as we once again start to straighten or almost straighten that right leg up toward the sky. Take one breath in. Flex your foot, pulling your toes back toward your body. With your exhale, lower your right leg down with a straight leg, sort of slowly lowering so the back of your right leg touches the floor there. Let's Once it reaches the floor, just let all of your effort soften. Just a breath in, soft, and breath out. Bend that right knee and place your right foot on the floor. And we'll switch sides. So right foot presses down a lot as you begin to lift and straighten or almost straighten that left leg up. You can always hold on behind that left thigh if it makes it more enjoyable. Go ahead and circle out your left ankle a couple times both ways. Pointing and flexing at some point. Wiggling the toes, spreading the toes out. Do all the things. All right, then finding figure 4, bending that left knee, placing your left ankle just behind that right knee or on your right thigh. This side might be different, so there's no need to be symmetrical with your expressions of these poses unless you'd like to. You could press your left hand into your left knee or thigh. Or if you like, maybe reaching to interlace the fingers behind the right thigh. Just make sure your shoulders and head can comfortably rest on the floor. And as you breathe and enjoy the sensations you're experiencing, just do a little investigating. Where are you feeling what you're feeling? Is it a physical sensation? Are there emotions or different types of energies arising? Just do a little investigating into your experience. Just about one more breath. Unless you want to stay longer, you always can. With your exhale, bringing that right foot back to the floor if it was lifted. Keeping your legs in your figure 4. We'll go ahead and find that twist both directions. So just start in whatever direction you like, letting your legs twist to one side, maybe gazing in the opposite direction. Eventually switching sides back and forth a couple of times. And when you've had enough, if you remember what side you started on, just trying to end on that opposite side. And coming on back to center when you're ready. One more time, straightening, lifting that left leg up toward the sky. Flex the left ankle, pulling your left toes back toward the body. Taking a breath in. Exhale, lower your left leg with a nice straight leg. Take your time. Eventually, the back of your left leg finding the floor. And when it does, just soften all of your effort. We'll take a long body stretch here. So straighten out that right leg. Reach your arms overhead. Just reaching fingers and toes in opposite directions here. And if there are any last poses, movements, or stretches that your body is wanting, go ahead, move into those poses or movements now. And then whenever you're ready, find your final resting pose, which could be Shavasana, corpse pose, with your arms and legs out long, taking up as much space as you'd like. Or you might find the lower back friendly constructive rest pose by bending your knees, standing your feet up at the edges of your mat, tucking your tailbone under so your low back is kind of flat toward the floor, and letting your knees come together at the center, just so you don't have to use any effort really to keep your legs up. Maybe there's another variation that you like or want to try. You have some props. You could put a little something underneath your knees. Maybe your hands or arms finding a different variation. Hands could rest on the low rib cage or the hip points, or maybe your arms go up and overhead. There's so many ways to make it your own. But as soon as you find comfort, start to settle. And if you've had a particularly outward facing day, maybe you work in a busy office or have spent a lot of time out and about, maybe you'd like to close your eyes. You could try that, kind of turning inward. You've had a very inward day today, or maybe you spent a lot of the day alone. Maybe find an external focus. Maybe you open your eyes and gaze at a specific point, drishti. Maybe kind of halfway open your eyes. So it's just kind of lights coming in, but you're not necessarily focused on anything. Feel the rise and fall of your belly as breath comes in and breath goes out. You might keep your attention there on the rise and fall of the belly, or perhaps the air coming in and out of the nostrils. Soften the muscles of your face, smooth out your forehead, soften your jaw. Please know that if you would like to stay here and continue resting, taking a full Shavasana, you are welcome to stay here. Whenever you're feeling ready to begin reawakening, let's start gently wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe deepening your breath, swallowing, yawning. You might find your way eventually to a long body stretch. And then choosing a side, go ahead and make your way to the fetal position on either side with the knees slightly bent. Maybe your bottom arm is now your pillow. Take a full round of breath here, trying not to rush. And as you're ready, use the help and strength of your arms to press your way up to a comfortable seat. Maybe keeping your eyes closed as you join hands in front of heart center. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace in our actions, peace in our words, peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs up to third eye center. If it feels right to you, let's take a little bow forward together now. Peace.